Welcome to East Tennessee Pinball. The Model Hari is almost done. This is going to be the last video before we do a gameplay. We got a couple things left. Obviously, I got to put the plastics on. I was planning on using my old plastics. They're actually, I cleaned them up, I flattened them, and they look okay, but I don't know how well it shows up. But the perimeter here is just a little bit yellowed, and there's a few little scratches, and basically everything else looks so new and clean that these stand out. So I just ordered another set, so they're going to be here in a little less than a week probably. So got to do that. Was hoping to use these because it's another almost $200 thrown in the game, but gonna have to do it. And so the other thing that's kind of important is you press start button, nothing happens. Carl says I ain't got no gas, which would be, do you have credits? It says it's got 9 credits. We'll see if we can add another credit. I don't know if you can hear it clicking. It's clicking, and it's not giving me any more credits. So that switch isn't working. That switch isn't working. That switch also isn't working. This switch does work right here. If I press this one, I can go through all the menus. See? Yep. So, and there, if I go, that's the switch test. So it's measuring, seeing the ball in the trough, I think. Nope. I don't know what one is. Maybe that's not what I think it is. Oh, I'm in something else here. I'm in audits or something. Let me get back. I went right past the switch test. Get back here real quick. Okay, there, now we're in switch test. So all these other switches, I press one at a time. That's out lane, there's in lane, There's another one. I'll drop those 4 drop targets. It's gonna cycle, I'll drop the other 4. Now it should have 8 targets. Yep. So that's all working. And I've gone through every switch in the game works except for that one, and also the slam tilt over here doesn't work. So everything on the coin door doesn't work except for this one. So let's. I'm gonna turn it off real quick. We go on the back here and take a look at this. That's my muffler. I think it's wearing me out. So on these MPUs, this isn't replacement Weebly MPU. This is basically where power comes in, and also the signals coming out from here go over to the solenoid driver board. This does your displays right here. This are all your switches from your playfield, and this one here are the switches from your from the coin door and the cabinet. So the switches coming here are the malfunctioning ones. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just verify where the problem is at. I'm going to unplug both of these. And by the way, on the board itself, some of these pins, they're basically in parallel. You could actually trigger them from either side. It's kind of complicated, but on the board, just know that some of those are in parallel. So I've got this little tester board that Weebly also makes. It's just got all the little switches on them, so you can just manually. So I'm going to plug this thing in, plug it in right here, and it's good to go ahead and unplug this one. I've learned that lesson the hard way, just in case you've got something on the game that's shorted out. So let me put this thing up again. And I believe the game start is strobe 0 and tickets. I want to say it's 5. I'm going to press to see what happens. So it does start a game. So the problem is nothing back here. I mean, not the boards or anything. So that's all working. So it's something this side of the boards. So I'm gonna turn this off again here. So the most obvious solution would be a dirty, nasty pin. Well, it'd actually be this one here. And let's see if I can get this to focus. By the way, on these Weebly boards, it's really nice because he's got they're labeled on here. So that first pin is the strobe 0, and I guess the return, return 5 right there. So it's the first one and the third from the bottom are the two that we're interested. That first one, there on the far left, well, they're all pretty grody. I mean, yeah, they're nasty. I don't know for sure that's a problem, but for sure they need to be swapped out. So I'm gonna swap those out. While I'm at it, let's check these over here. Oh my gosh, those are even worse. Now that's not the surface that's actually mating, it's on the other side, on the inside, but it's hard to see on the inside, but they don't look very shiny there either. Look at these over here. Those look better. They're not quite as bad. They don't look awesome, but they're not as bad as those other ones. And those are kind of the same. They don't look awesome, but they look a lot better than the lower ones. That's kind of typical. These two bottom ones are going to generally look worse than these two. So let me show you. This is a MPU board, so that's the replacement one. This is not the one that actually came out of the game, but it's typical of a lot of them. Let me set it over here. It's got the battery still mounted on here, and there's corrosion all over it. What happens is corrosion, the alkaline juice leaks out of these things, and it just starts eating, and it eats on these copper traces and comes up, and you can really see it even better on the back of the board. You know, so again, there's where the battery is, and it just, these big copper traces around the perimeter, they just work their way up. So this one, those are the two connectors that are really bad. These connectors up at the top here are just a little bit bad. You see, basically, they're in closer proximity to the source of the alkaline corrosion, so that it doesn't have to go as far. So depending on how long it's in there, it'll get to these, or it may not. It'll get to these much faster. Oftentimes, depending on how long it's sit, it'll kill the board, maybe even before it gets to these, but oftentimes it'll just sit in the barn and it'll eat up the thing. It'll be eatable. But in any case, got some connectors that are going to have to be swapped out. Those two, and yeah, probably ought to do these also. Yeah, as much fun as I love doing these. Yeah, those are not looking very great. Probably ought to check these down here too, because oftentimes some of this stuff will drip down, and you know, it wouldn't have dripped on this board, it would have dripped on the old board and get on the connectors. Pull some of these off and see what they look like real quick. Those look much better. I will say I haven't had any issues with any of the lamps lighting. So on this lamp board, this is the digital signals coming in, and these other three are the signals going out the grounds for the lamps. Let me get all the tools, and I'll show you how I go about repinning these connectors. All right, I got all my tools over here. I got a whole bunch of little 0.1 inch pins, because these are the small pins. Yeah, so just so you know, those are the 1/10 inch pins. Those big ones are 0.156. So you need the 0.1 inch pins. This is my pin removal tool, aka $5 pack of pokers from Harbor Freight. Side cutters, wire strippers, kind of automatic ones. These are worth getting a name brand one, because the cheapo ones don't work for very long. And a crimp tool for the pins, and this one is a cheapo one, and it works just fine. So I don't know if that's a brand you want to get, but I've had pretty good luck with it. Okay, so let me put this on the stand and we'll get going. All right, so it might be tempting to take all these out at once. I don't do that because I'm afraid I'll get mixed up. So to get these pins out, there's a little prong that sticks up in the back. So you need a little tool to poke that down and poke it down and down in there, and then it'll come out. I don't know how well you can see, but there's a little bitty piece of metal that sticks out, and that's what catches when it's in there. So what I'm trying to poke in is that little tab so I can get it out. And once you kind of figure out how to do it, they come up pretty easy. Next, I'm just going to snip this thing off. I hope y'all are focused. I can't really see. Next, I'm going to strip this yellow one back, and you don't have to strip them very far, like 1/10 of an inch maybe. Oops. Gonna have to go to the 20 gauge slot. There we go. All right. So once I've got that stripped, I'm gonna have to put the pin into the tool. And these things they click, and when you're all the way done, they'll come back out. So I'm gonna use the small gauge one, set the pin in there, click it till it's captive, one more click. So that's 2 clicks on this one. And now I have to feed this in there, and it's kind of you'll learn trial and error how far you have to go, but you can kind of look and see once it goes in there. And basically, I'll show you when it comes out. There's 2 crimps. There's a crimp on the metal, and there's another crimp on the plastic insulation there. I felt it slide in. Okay. And then you want to inspect and make sure that first crimp is on the metal, on the wire, and the other crimp is on the insulation. It's real easy to get it too far, and both crimps are on the insulation, and then the metal, the copper wire from in the middle is just like sticking in there, and then you don't get a good connection. So then you got to put this back in there. Which way do you do it? You have that little tab there that I pressed down the other one. That needs to come out to the hole, so it needs to turn around like that and slide in. And now you see that one's nice and shiny, whereas the other ones are nasty. So I'm just going to keep doing this. Maybe I'll stop the video, restart it, and put it on time lapse. The crimps on the insulation. I kind of waved my hands in front of it and tried to show it during, this is going to be, well, it was time lapse when you watched it. So it's always good to inspect those, make sure you get them in, because when you're sliding the little wire in there, you can kind of feel when it's supposed to stop, but it's real easy to get insulation into the second crimp before you crimp it, and then they won't make good contact, so you got to redo it. So anyway, I'm still going to do those other 3, but I want to go ahead and see if this game will, if that's going to fix my problem. Boot up and see if I've got. Whoops, got the camera standing away. We'll be able to hear it if it starts. Yep. Okay, cool. So it tried to kick the ball out. Yep. That switch ain't working. I thought it was. Have to check that out. That one's not either. Oh yeah, it is. It's just not. I haven't gone through and tuned anything yet. So anyway, got to go through and make sure everything's working, and just start by replaying the rest of this. Anyway, I'm going to finish this up, and then we'll do one more gameplay video. If you like the videos, please click like and go ahead and subscribe. Take care. Cheers.